I'm going to wait to see if it's streaming. Yeah, I was kind of nervous doing this because I wanted to make this live stream as a kind of a separate video, explaining everything that I learned and challenges that I faced. And I wanted to be as concise and fast as possible. But yeah, because there's so many things to explain, then it ended up being a lot longer than I wish it was. But now I think I have more time because this one is just not meant to be anything like that. So I'm gonna talk about. I don't think I'm gonna spend a lot of time talking about this, but I'm gonna briefly talk about something that I realized after I made this video about the getStaticProps thing. But yeah, the reason why I decided to make this live stream is because I couldn't find any videos on YouTube that explain this stuff in the way that I did on this video. And I also couldn't find Stack Overflow articles and things like that. It was just really hard to, because all of the videos explained how it worked. Some videos explained really well how it worked, the dynamic routing on NextJS and getStaticProps and getStaticProps, but they didn't explain on the context of the fundamentals that are going on when you're building a page like this. Like, what is the thinking pattern that you need to have and the understanding of the fundamental of what's going on in order to be able to think about how to create a solution to a complex problem that is going to involve multiple different ways to structure the data. So that's what I'm going to talk about now there. And after this, I'm going to work on the theme of the blog using, I think I'm going to use theme UI, and I was studying this at some point. I don't know if it's possible to change the structure of the website with this. I know that there are some components here that you can use, and I think that you can use some property or props named SX. And with that property, then you can change this prop here. Then you can change the structure of the div, but I'm not really sure. And I couldn't find a lot of information. So I think that's gonna be challenging. Might be challenging as well. If I can't find anything that is related to changing the structure, then I think I'm gonna do the structure with normal CSS. Just create separate files for each section of the page, for each different CSS files for each section. And then do the structure with normal CSS, but then as far as the color and fonts and things like that, from what I've seen, I think this is going to be very good because it allows you to put everything on one file, on this theme file, and then you style the whole thing, and it keeps the consistency of the styling throughout the entire website. And so that's what I want to achieve now. Change the structure and change the styling of the pages. And then there's some other stuff that I need to change on this routing here, which is inside of this condition. Actually, maybe not inside of here because of the way that I did this. Yeah, because here I'm making it equal to the route path. And so maybe outside of here, on another line, I'm gonna filter this post and no, not the post. I'm gonna filter the category. If it is a file, put a condition to check if it is a file, and if it is a file, I'm just gonna remove the dot extension to show inside of here. So the link stays separate, and then I show without the dot mdx extension. And then later on, I'm gonna do. I have to think about this as well because I want to. Initially, the reason why I separated into folders and files is not only because of the path that would be different, but also because I want to give a different color of the styling, so that is easy for people to understand when is an article and when is a category in the blog. So I'm gonna think about a way to do this as well here, to put another class name to or another styling when it's a file. But I don't think I'm gonna, because it was so hard to figure out the routing stuff, I don't wanna mess up with this stuff here. Just wanna leave this alone. And then do the logic for the removing the stuff and adding the color separate from, or in another line here outside. So where is the... So here what I realized is that the biggest challenge with using getStaticProps on the dynamic route page is that you're creating kind of like an archetype. The page you're coding is an archetype that is going to have a bunch of different variations of the thing. So because of that, it is necessary to attach the logic in the getStaticProps with whatever path you're receiving. Because if you want the data to change the structure of the page in any way, shape or form, so in my case was putting a link. So, but in other cases it could be anything else. If that's the case, you're going to change the way that the page is structured in some way based on the data. Then you're going to have to attach the path to the getStaticProps functionality, because that's the only thing that is going to change from page to page, and you don't have access to anything else when you're coding the page, because you can't see all the other pages that are going to be rendered. That's the thing. You can only code one time, and then that code has to work for, so let's say you have 100 paths. The code has to work for 100 different paths, but you can only code it once. And because of that, you only receive the path one time, but you code the logic to get all the paths one time as well. Then that's the biggest challenge, is figuring out how to abstract away all the differences in data between all the different 100 pages that you're going to do in only one instance of the code. And that's why it's so difficult. So in this is what the thing that I was trying to come across on the previous stream. In my specific case was to figure out how to navigate through these files all at the same time, but only coding the logic once, regardless of where I'm at in each specific time. But then for other applications and for other things, it's going to be the same exact problem, but the only difference is going to be on the algorithms that we create on the API side and on the getStaticProps side and on the getStaticProps, because those are the three main components that dictate the flow of the data, that create the archetype of the page that you're creating. And I'm sure that once I have more time to think about it, I'm probably going to come up with something, or like a meta algorithm or something like that, that allows me to optimize, because there must be a way. This is very interesting to me because it's the relationship between the symmetry of the universe of chaos and order, where I talked about this in the past, where you have the masculine and the feminine, and the masculine is the patterns and the feminine is the potential in chaos. So the way that I view masculine is more like physics, and then the feminine is more like data, where feminine is potential and physics is the loss of that potential. And they are entangled through time because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, where you can't have physics if you don't have data, and you can't have data if you don't have physics. So it's like a entanglement thing. And I think it's the same pattern here, where the template of the page is there must be an optimal distribution of the page of what you want to be fixed in that instance of the page, and how you're going to create the algorithm that is going to dictate the changes in data through time. And yeah. So there must be a fundamental pattern here of how you structure the algorithm and the page, so that regardless of what application you're building, you are able to quickly figure out what are the parts of the page that you are supposed to make it equal in all of the different aspects, and what are the parts of the page that are going to change depending on the data. And that's going to structure the flow of the information from the getStaticProps to getStaticProps to the components and whatever you do with the component. So in this case was the link, but I imagine that if you have more complex applications or something that you want to do, and this is why I'm thinking about this, because obviously I might encounter this in the future as well. So it's good to have, it would be good to have a very good understanding of how to go about thinking about this. So the next time, if I face the same situation but with a different variation of the problem, where the algorithm is going to be different, then I can quickly see, I can quickly have a search path of the best approach to create the whole design of the system so that I can solve the issue faster. So here, I think the fundamental issue that I didn't understand and was also hard to find is this use router thing. Because there are videos explaining, but yeah, the thing that it wasn't explained and that I couldn't figure out and associate with this is that the structure of the link component in NextJS, it always goes from the path you're currently at in the browser. So in the beginning, I thought that if you link there, and this is the stuff that I'm still not 100% sure. So if you create this link, but you get in this page that has this component here, and you're on the root folder, then let's say this route path is equal to Rust. If you're on the root page when you access this component, then it's gonna go to the root/Rust. But let's say you are on the Solidity endpoint when you get to this page. Then instead of replacing Solidity with Rust, it's gonna go to Solidity to the root Solidity and then /Rust. So the path always goes from the point that the browser is currently at, and not to the absolute point, let's say, from the root path. So that's one of the key things that took me a very long time to understand. And I'm still not 100% sure if that's the case. I think it is because of the way I did this and seems to be working fine. But I'm not sure if that's how it works on everywhere. And that's another fundamental thing here, which is that another fundamental point is that because the pages are going to change all the time based on the navigation, it's like you're creating the navigation for 100 different pages at one time, but then for each specific instance, you have to know where to go from there. And because the link component, if you pass as props, the props are static. So one way to solve this is to make the props not static based on the stuff that I just talked about, where they would be dependent on getStaticPaths. Because if the props are dependent on getStaticPaths, then it might be possible to code the information that is going to allow you to search for the connection for where do you want the link to go to based on the props that are passing through the component. But if you're just passing the props, like I was in my example, where I'm always getting the same folder because I'm using the algorithm on this page, and the algorithm that I'm using only it doesn't have the information, it doesn't have dynamic information that is dependent on the getStaticPath, then the link is too rigid. So it's not able to adapt to all the different situations of the paths of the potential paths that it has. And that's the thing that I couldn't, it's not that I couldn't, I just didn't, because now it's a lot more clear to me after going through everything of what was the fundamental part of the problem, I think. And as I was doing this, I didn't realize, because there were so many stuff, as I was trying to code the algorithms as well, so there's so much stuff to think about that you don't realize that what's going on. But yeah. So the flow of the components that should be equivalent to the flow of information from getStaticProps to getStaticProps. So I think whatever data you're gonna put, I think that's the key fundamental principle here, is whatever data you put inside of these components that is gonna change the navigation of the page. I'm not really sure if it's only for navigation, but I think navigation is a very good example. Then the flow of the navigation has to follow the flow of the getStaticProps to getStaticProps. I think that's about it. So I'm probably gonna think about this more in the future. So maybe I'll come up with other conclusions or other things that are interesting from this. It's definitely a very interesting problem. It was very difficult to figure it out as well. So I'm really happy about that. I spent a bunch of hours thinking about this. I think it might be helpful to... first I'm gonna see the changes here. I'm gonna change here. Here I already did something here to see if it's working, and it is. I think I replaced this with black, and then it works. So I know it's working here. But I want to understand how this works. These names here. And I'm also gonna use the color palettes or the other sides for choosing the theme. I think I'm gonna use a slight blue or something like that, or green, that I think looks nice with black. And there's other, I'm gonna watch the video later to see how to do dark mode, which I think was pretty easy based on I already saw this video thing. And I remember, and I also saw some stuff on the documentation, and I think it's pretty easy to incorporate dark mode on the... So I'm gonna do that as well. So here, it's explanatory, self-explanatory. So I think here, at this, so you put color types here, and then you put on these elements. The BG seems to be background, and then you put whatever color you want. And what options do I have there? This stuff here I didn't understand from this documentation. Like, what is this supposed to be? Is this supposed to be on a different part outside of the component? It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think I'm gonna use the components for navbar as well. There's one there that I think it looks... Another cool thing about this documentation is that you can change the color here. Just see how it looks on multiple different styles. I'm gonna try to figure out the formatting first so it looks better instead of looking like this, and then I figure out the color later. I don't understand where I'm supposed to put this stuff here. I think they have an example, if I remember, that I opened. And this is from the theme page. I think I want to leave this stuff for last though, because it seems to be the easiest thing to do with theme UI. Just select the colors and you just put the information on the theme.js file. The thing that I couldn't figure out is where I'm supposed to put the components. Because in Tailwind CSS, the way that you do it, you just put the class name, whatever class name Tailwind CSS has, special class name, in the component itself, and then it changes the structure. So here I would put the class name here, and then it would change the thing. But with this stuff here, I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to put this thing here. Like, it doesn't make sense to put the props to me. I don't know, like the way that it is here, it seems like I'm supposed to put it here, but it doesn't make sense. Or maybe I should create a file just to create the components that have whatever. So if I can create a component called div, for example, and then I make it equal to this. But that doesn't make a lot of sense as well. I think I'm gonna search for this or try to. I've seen that they recommend or they show some projects that they use the theme UI library. So maybe I'll look on how they do it. This example doesn't have a lot of stuff. It doesn't show here. So it's used inside of the theme UI components. Yes, I think I understand how it works. You have to use their components, and then if you want this style to be different, you use this SX property inside of the component. And then if you want to use their custom CSS properties, you use the stuff they talk about there with the function thing. This thing here. No, this is from the theme file, I think. But I think there is a way to use your own CSS. Yeah, raw CSS. So use this property here. I think I'm starting to get it, I think. This is the only thing that I don't understand. If we need to pass this, whatever props you get, if we need to put props inside of here and then pass inside of the component. And then here I would put the dark mode, I think. Yeah, so here I think you put the mode for dark mode.
Life is all about you, and not at all about you. Now that's two opposing thoughts.
Also, look at the source code, but I think that's not sufficient.
Everything you choose to do, while observing the experience.
Only in last circumstances, which I don't think I'm gonna do because I don't want to spend a lot of time with this. I wanna finish this as fast as possible so I can start writing the articles and looking for freelance jobs.
They say we're all one, but where have we been heading to? I'd rather die free than have to live inside a petting zoo. I am the journey that I'm getting to.
Yeah, so this is the stuff that you use to change the mode here. Seems pretty easy.
Gratitude is my destination. My destiny is perfectly aligned with this location.
Yeah, so the only problem is that I'm starting with the wrong one, I think.
I have everything I want because my imagination is mine. But mine is not enough for me because I am not my mind. I can see it all, but never get to see I'm truly blind.
So maybe if I change here.
But all identity is intertwined. The moon is only bright because it reflects the sun's shine.
I wanted to start with the dark one, and then, because I prefer the dark mode usually. I think most people that code also do because they spend a lot of time in front of the computer. So ideally my blog would be on the dark mode as default and then light mode optional. And now it works. I think it's because that error is because of the way that depending on which thing you put here, then or the order of the modes maybe. I'm not really sure.
It's not the human race. It's just the human race. There's nothing left to chase. We do not run this place. But both medicine and poison's an acquired taste. So I started taking selfies of somebody else's face.
I also think I'm not gonna use 100% black. I'm gonna use some grayish or something like that. Like the IDE color here. I don't think this is 100% black. I think I'm gonna use this color. Now, that's the only problem with this theme UI is that it's very hard to find information. Most information that I saw is from Chakra UI or this material UI. I guess they're similar, but might be different. I think what I'm gonna do is study on these other libraries to understand how it works, and then I'm gonna try it out on the theme UI because I assume it's probably very similar, if not the same. Yeah, I think it is inside of the components, but it has to be, maybe I should just try it out to put on a normal component and see what happens. Let's try this one. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work. Maybe it's because I have to add the stuff in the top of the file. This thing here. Ah, there we go. So it works. And so I guess it's just as simple as putting the SX in the component and then putting the stuff on the top of the... I wonder if I can put this on the app though, because then I don't need to put on all of the files. Let's see. It doesn't work. But maybe if I put on index, because the index has this component. Oh, but I guess it doesn't matter because I'm gonna use the navbar on the other component as well, so it's better to put on the navbar. Let's try a different color. I think it's only colors that the thing has. It doesn't, but it's not this one. Okay, so it does show up here.
Je crois que je poursuis un rêve impossible.
But it probably has to be... Alright, there's an easy way to test it.
Je me revois, je revois tes yeux, je revois ta bouche,
Let's put this and then I
je revois
toggle.
tes cheveux, ton visage.
Maybe,
Et je me demande si
yeah.
toi aussi tu
Maybe the
penses.
toggling changes
Je
the
me demande
color
si
as
toi
well,
aussi
based on the
tu
property.
me revois quand tu fermes les yeux et quand tu rêves. C'est un rêve impossible. Tu m'avais dans la paume de ta main, tout ce que tu avais à faire, c'est de me dire de rester. Mais t'es parti. Et t'es revenu.
I think these attributes are only the attributes that are
T'es revenu. Encore.
that exist
encore.
on here, probably.
Et à chaque fois, c'est la même chose.
So that's probably how the design of this works, is you specify everything on this file, on this thing, and then whenever you want to use it, then you put this SX on the component, and then you specify which ones you want to use for each component. And then if you want to customize, use the other
Tout ce que
properties
t'avais à
there.
faire, c'est de me dire de rester, et je serais restée pour toujours, toujours avec toi.
And then you
Alors
make
pourquoi
it
t'es parti, pourquoi
for
tu m'as
different
laissé?
sizes. You
Ça
put
va nous
the
échapper
stuff
entre les
on
doigts,
inside
et
of
on s'en de toute
an array.
façon. Tout ça, ça va s'arrêter.
I guess you put stuff like this on something like this div here when you want to change the color of all each ones inside of the div. And then the CSS property, you put raw CSS. And so far, I'm liking this library. It seems like it has the perfect balance between allowing you to do your own styling and also having good default things. So if it does work like this, then I think I prefer this more than Tailwind CSS, to be honest. Because the issue I found with Tailwind CSS is that although you can do a lot of things, you're still limited to the whatever classes you can put. So, and then in some situations you need to put more code to fit to whatever you were trying to do. So I didn't like that too much. Because maybe the paid version is different, but the way that I use, or because it's lack of experience, could be the case as well. I want to figure out how to test if this is working, or if it allows me to put here, but it only works if it is a component from the library. Because if it does work on normal components, then I think it's a very good library, because then I can do whatever I want when the default values are not enough. Yeah, so I think these are all the colors you can have, I think. All the options. Primary, secondary. And then you have to use these keys everywhere else. I'm gonna put any number. Then why would the example show a different name here? Because this is supposed to be your own custom thing. So it should work like this. Maybe it's because of the theme here, which is not showing a different color. It's the stuff that I don't understand. Maybe if I... No, but then it wouldn't make sense, because if I have to put on the modes here, then it wouldn't be my own custom. Yeah, my own custom class. I think I'm gonna put some of this header component instead. Yeah, I don't understand why the color is not changing here. Oh, I'm using the color, not background color. Oh, there we go. So let's use CSS again. Oh, but now it doesn't work. Because it's probably a different name. Yeah, there we go. I always confuse color with background color. Yeah, but is it changing the color of the text there if I do like this? Maybe it's because it's a link, then it overrides the CSS. That's another question to think about. Or maybe it's because of the props thing. I have to pass props here. But that wouldn't make sense because I'm using the components. I'm importing the component in the file. Let me try to put something else here and then check to see if it's gonna change the color or not. Yeah, so it does change that. I think it's because I'm using a component, so when you use components, you probably have to pass inside of the component as well to change the color. Let me test that. Yeah, there we go. So when you're using a component, you have to put the property directly on the component, which makes sense. That's probably why you need to pass props. If you're accepting props, then you probably need to pass the props as well inside of this thing. So it is aware to change the styling the props as well. So let's say you're getting some children in the props, and you want the children to be styled as well, then you pass the props as the inside of the whatever component is styling, I think, like it is on the example there. Yeah, that's actually pretty easy, to be honest. I thought it would be harder than this to figure out. Now, the only problem is gonna be figuring out how to change the structure, how to make flex, but I think I can just use normal CSS inside of this in case I can't figure out with this special syntax from the theme here. I don't think on the theme you can change the structure. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It doesn't make sense as well. That's the problem I had with the other project, with the that I got from the other guy with the landing page, is that it doesn't make a lot of sense to make the structure of the web page, the websites linked all the way through, because each section is going to have a different purpose, I think, usually. So it doesn't make sense to make, for example, the display of the whole page as Flexbox, because then it becomes too rigid. And then if we want to add extra information or modify something else, then you don't have that flexibility to structure the components in a different way. But with theming, I think it makes a lot more sense because you want the page to have an style, a consistent style throughout the entire website. So in design, I think it makes a lot more sense for the theme to be integrated in the whole thing, but then for the components the structure of the components should be separated into each specific thing. So the CSX prop is when you use when you wanna use the themes that you define on the theme folder, these themes here, and then the CSS is when you want to add custom themes. That's the difference. Blah blah. Yeah, so you can change the width here as well. Height. Let me try to put padding here. And then px is on the horizontal, py is the vertical. Let's put 200 just okay, does work. And if I put like this, nice. But that's the thing. I guess yeah, because I didn't change the primary on the, but I guess it would change if I select a different one. I think I get it now, how to do everything. Just the last thing is to figure out if the flags is like that, but I guess I can just try here as well. To put flags or display. Yeah, but here, since I'm using, I guess I would have to use the CSS one. I think for the navbar, I'm gonna use their component because it's very similar to the one that I had on the landing page, this one. And that one I spent a lot of time thinking about this kind of stuff. Maybe I'll customize with the CSS thing, but I think their components seem to be a good starting point. Maybe in the future I'll change it. Yeah, but I don't think I can do display here. Yeah, maybe I can. And I think is justify content. Space around. Oh, so it does work. And then flex direction. I think is column. So 0. Oh yeah, it's because I'm modifying this class here and I should be modifying the other one. So it is actually a lot easier than I thought it would be. I think I'm gonna read the documentation a little bit more, read everything here, try to understand more of the other stuff that you can do. And then I'm gonna add the components first before I modify the classes. But what I'm gonna do is just copy the stuff that I did on this landing page, the styling, to this one. And after I'm done with that, then I can search for the color palettes to determine which style I'm gonna use for the whole thing. But first I'm gonna start with the components, then I copy all the other stuff. I think actually I'm gonna copy the stuff off stream because it's better to do it if you have two monitors. Obviously, because then I can just open one project in one screen and the other one in this screen, and then I can just copy the stuff. So for now, I think I'm just gonna play around with the components they have, and then also play around with these other properties here, which I think I already understand. It's not that hard actually. I thought it would be harder. And then after, off stream, I'll do everything else. Oh yeah, after that, after I'm done with all this stuff, then there's also something that I think is going to be hard, which is learning. I don't think learning Markdown is going to be hard, but getting to the flow of writing the articles and structuring the article page, I think is going to be hard. Yeah, the layout for that is going to be hard, and also there are things that I think you can incorporate as well from other libraries. I think there's a component called Toast, I think. It's 2S. I'm not sure how you say it, but it makes the alerts look better and things like small things like that. I think it make a difference. But I'm not really sure if I'm gonna add this stuff as well or try to add it because it might be too difficult and a waste of time. It's better to start writing the articles as soon as possible, at least so I have some articles on the website. And I think what I'm going to do is separate my time once I get to the point where I'm going to write the articles and everything else is structured. Oh yeah, also I need to put the MetaMask wallet connection as well. And then maybe I'm thinking about putting an email. I've seen that in Team UI they have some stuff. I think they have components to allow you to put the form. So I think I'm going to do that because it's so easy. It seems to be easy. Using their components, it's already styled and everything. So I think I'm going to put there because why not? To get email leads as well. And then, but then if I decide to do that, then I'm gonna have to set up another database on Planet Scale, and then that might be hard as well. And then you should deploy this thing as well. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna separate in the beginning my time as 80-20, so 80% working on the articles and writing the articles, and then 20% doing the tasks for doing the freelance thing and searching for freelance work. And I think, yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm gonna have to think about a strategy as well to find good freelance work because there's a lot of challenges and it's gonna be hard, I think, to find jobs. So I'm gonna spend 20% of the time initially on that, and then 80% on writing the articles, and I'm gonna study this stuff on stream. Then after I write the articles, After I write a bunch of articles, I'm gonna write from the articles. I'm gonna make videos to the other channel. And then the more articles I have, the goal is to shift this distribution, at least for now. Then I'm gonna see what happens. Because I think in the beginning to find freelance work is harder. So after I have a good amount of articles, then it's better to spend more time doing freelance work, at least in the beginning, and then maybe I'll go back and forth between the two. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm gonna eat some stuff because I have to this time. And then I think I'm gonna go for a run. So I think I'm gonna watch a video as I eat this stuff. Then I'm gonna spend half an hour here and then I'm gonna stop. I think I'm just gonna read the documentation and then off stream I'm gonna translate because all you have to do, and it seems like it is really easy, is to put the CSS here or this SX in each component, and then I can copy the style that I use for this page on this one. And then I'm gonna spend some time thinking about the theme as well, probably. And after that, then hopefully I'm done with this today, and then tomorrow I can start thinking about. Yeah, the thing that I'm not sure is how the styling of the article is gonna be because I didn't structure this page. I was more concerned with the routing, so I didn't think about the structure of this. But it's probably, I think it won't be that hard as well. So after I'm done with the styling, then I think tomorrow I'm probably gonna start researching for, or thinking about, I'm gonna first think about what kind of articles I'm gonna write first. And I don't think I'm gonna put too much importance in the quality, let's say, of the articles, because I don't want to be like a, how can I say, like a source of truth for people. It's more like a, because I want to have the freedom to have my own expression, and I think that because everything is relative, if you hold yourself to a high standard, then it becomes impossible to write information, because then I have to research too much into everything that I write. So I want to find the middle ground between quality and quantity, which I think is the best place. So I'm not going to concern myself in writing everything in the correct way and not making any mistakes. I'm just going to write in the way that I think. So the goal is to get information and then work as a filter of the information, process the information, and then write in the way that I think. And I'm probably going to use ChatGPT and other resources to research. But I'm going to make the list first of what kind of articles I want to write. And I already have an idea. I think I'm going to write first about the stuff that I made videos already, because it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be easier to translate. And yeah. Oh, before that, I was forgetting, but I think I'm going to put another link here, which is going to be the affiliates link. And I think that's the stuff that I was going to do first. I remember, no, I did this stuff with the programming niche, where I researched a bunch of people, and then I researched the affiliate products that they were offering, and then their websites and their funnels. And then I made a list where I have a bunch of different affiliate products suggestions. So what I'm going to do is off stream, I'm going to research all the Amazon products that they recommend. And I'm going to see which ones are recommended most often. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't have a lot of stuff that I can recommend from Amazon. So I guess I can search for my own stuff as well, and put there. But I think this is a good strategy where I get the products that are recommended most of the time, and because they're recommended most of the time by people that are known in the industry, the probability of the products being good is high. So I'm going to use those affiliate products, and I'm going to put them on this affiliate page initially. And then, because the other challenge is I don't want to be trapped by the affiliate links that I'm going to use, like write articles thinking about injecting the affiliate links in the articles, because then that's going to stop from the main thing, which is to provide as much value as possible through writing the articles. So I think that a good way of thinking, and I think that's the difference between the way that Elon Musk thinks and the other people that create cars thinks, is that at least that's what it seems like. Obviously, I don't know. And it could be a company thing, a culture thing. But the way that Tesla seems to think is that think about providing value for the consumer first, and then everything else comes after that. So the main priority is always the value, not the And if you allow your mind to be clouded by the links you're gonna use, I think it deviates from the core purpose of the thing, and it generates a vicious cycle where it doesn't work. So it's better to focus first on the value, and then after I write the articles, then think about how I can integrate or figure out ways to monetize that. And then think about incorporating Web3 as well into the blog. Yeah, but then, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is to research the other topics I have as well. And because I also found it hard to find affiliate links that are not from products, because I know that Amazon is not very good if you don't have a lot of followers, because the commission is very low and it's very competitive. So it's better if you get affiliate links from people that from companies directly, instead of something like an Amazon, which is a marketplace. So because of that, I couldn't find a lot of good products that people they usually required 5,000 followers or more, the products I found in the programming niche. So what I'm going to do is research the economics, blockchain, and health and fitness niches, and do the same thing that I did for the programming, create the spreadsheets, get affiliate links, then filter out which ones are the best, and then see which ones have highest potential. And that seems like they're the highest quality products to start first. And then I'm probably going to write articles first about those niches. After I finish with the articles from the programming and low-hanging fruit that I have, which is the content that I already did. Yeah.
The special bonus, I'll even show you how to do this so that it responds to your OS settings. So as you can see, I have Mac OS here and it's responding to my selection. Now there's several ways to pull this off, but I think I have the solution here that is the simplest, something that you can spin up in 10 minutes or less, maybe 5 minutes. We'll see how long it takes. But why don't we just get it started? So I've got a terminal here open at my desktop, and I'm just going to use create React app to create a new application from scratch so you can follow along. So we're going to run the following commands: npm create React app, and then the name of your application. I'm just going to call mine React Dark Mode. Should take a few minutes to install, maybe a couple seconds. All right, once it's done, just open that up in your Visual Studio Code or your preferred editor. All right, so I got my code in VS Code here. And before we actually do anything, I'd like to first spend a minute to talk about, what is a good solution to dark mode? What are the things that you have to keep in mind? So first of all, you probably want something that allows you to define multiple themes for your application, right? So a dark mode is really just saying my application now has both a light and a dark theme, but a good solution will also allow for multiple themes beyond just those two. So for example, maybe you'll have a high contrast theme or whatever different color palettes you want to apply to your application. Second, you want something that is able to inform your entire application what that current theme is. So you can imagine in React, that's probably going to be something that's related to context. And then third, you want to think about user preferences. So in the beginning of this video, I showed how ideally we're able to pull in the user preference from their OS settings. Maybe there's a person that prefers only dark mode, or someone who prefers light mode, or maybe they don't care. Or alternatively, if they don't set that setting in their OS, maybe it's something that as they select the toggle on your application, you want to be able to save that choice either in your backend or perhaps in local storage. So in general, a good solution needs to be able to keep track of user preferences. With all that mentioned, like I said, I believe I discovered potentially one of the best solutions to this problem, this set of problems, and I think Theme UI has the best solution for it. What is Theme UI? Theme UI is a library for creating themeable user interfaces based on constraint-based design systems. So it's actually a lot more than just a solution to dark mode. There's a lot more things that it can do, and specifically if you're trying to create an application that has multiple themes or some kind of design system, this is a really good base for it. And honestly, I could probably dedicate an entire video on Theme UI alone, but in this video, we're going to focus on the solution for doing dark mode. The Theme UI website actually has this button on the top right that allows you to change the color mode, which is basically what we're trying to do. Like I said, we're just going to have an application that has two color modes, light and dark, but Theme UI actually allows you to add multiple colors if you wanted to. So as you can see here, it's going from light to dark to deep, Swiss, and each time I click on that, it changes the colors in application, the colors of the text, the colors of the buttons, etc. So again, I'd love to focus on Theme UI, and I'll probably make a dedicated video for it, but for now, I just want to focus on the dark mode solution itself. All right, so back in the code, we're actually going to go ahead and install Theme UI. So we're going to do npm install theme-ui. All right, once that installs, we're going to create a theme.js file, and this is going to be the file where we define a lot of these theme variables. So I'm going to create a theme object, and I'm going to export this. All right, and first thing we're going to put in here is the colors key. And again, you don't have to fully understand Theme UI. I think if you follow along, it'll be pretty intuitive. So here we're going to define our base colors. So for example, let's say that we have black text and you want the background to be white. And usually with design systems, or if you're trying to make your own color palette, you'll have some kind of primary color. So I have this randomly selected text color that you'll see in a second. Right, so that's all our theme is for now. We're going to add to it. But first, let's see how to utilize this theme in our application. First of all, within this index.js, the root starting point of our application, we need to provide, like I mentioned, we need some kind of theme provider, which theme UI comes with. So I'm going to import theme provider from theme UI, and then I'm also going to import the theme we just created, and we're going to wrap our entire application with this theme provider. Next, make sure to feed your theme into here as a prop. And that's really the setup that you need to do, and we'll see how it works as we start this application. So I'm going to go ahead and run npm start, and here's what my app currently looks like. It's just like any bare bones initial React project. Now, it's not utilizing those theme colors yet that we defined earlier, so we need to sort of hook it up first. Now, as you can see, this application comes with some default CSS, so we're going to want to turn off the colors that are defined in here. So for example, app header has this background color that we're going to remove. It's got the text color that we're going to remove. Got a link color that we're going to remove as well. So right now, our application just looks, whatever the default colors will be for these things. So for example, this regular blue for a link. And the nice thing that with the solution that we're going to use is, as you can see, it still works with existing CSS if you want to. Right now, there's no other hard-coded color in any of the existing styles, and the only thing that it's pulling from is the theme. So we can kind of see this in action. Is right now, because we have the background as white, it still looks white as before. But for example, if I change this to red and hit refresh here, now our application is red, right? That's pretty cool. So it automatically sort of utilizes this background key to figure out what is the color of my application background color, what is the color of the text, right? So if I make this white, let's do black and white here so you can see better. If I hit refresh here, we got black as a background and white as text, right? So even just here, you can already see the power of theme UI and how it's going to get us to dark mode, right? Is that really we just need a way to define a different set of colors, which we're going to get to in a second. So I brought this back to my original colors of white background, black text, but I want to also be able to utilize this primary color in different places in my application, so perhaps maybe in links, maybe in buttons. So we need to have a way to pull in that color from the theme. Now, theme UI has a really cool solution to this as well, which is the SX prop, which is you can kind of think of it as a it's like a style prop, but on steroids. And or to be more specific, it's like a CSS prop from Emotion, but on steroids. So the way you enable it is by using this JSX pragma. So we're going to copy this JSX import. We're going to add that to the top of our file like this. And what that enables us to do is it then allows us to start using the SX prop. If you've ever used Emotion CSS prop, it's very similar. You have to do something similar to that. So remember that we deleted class link for the app link CSS, right? So that doesn't even do anything. So let's delete that. But now that we have this JSX import source theme UI, we can now start using this SX prop. And within here, you can define, just like any regular object style CSS that you have. So for example, maybe you want to do font weight bold, right? And you'll see our text, our link text is now bolded. But beyond that, it also has some special powers. So if I want to pull out the primary color, for example, I just do color primary, right? And typically this would be sort of invalid in usual style, like if this was just style like this. But SX is able to say, take me this key and I'm going to look it up in my theme object, right? So it's going to go in here, it's going to go to colors, and it's going to find out what is primary, and it's actually going to swap in this color. With that in action, you'll notice that it's hard to notice, but it's a slightly different blue, right? So let me use a more noticeable color here just so you can see. Let me make this red. And as you change this theme, you may or may not need to refresh your browser just to see an effect. But as you see, when I refresh now, it's a red text, right? So it's able to use this color primary and pull in something from our theme. So I'm going to bring that back to the bluish hex color here. There's a lot more to the SX prop. There's actually a lot of things that you can do, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. Right now, we just needed to pull values out of our theme, specifically for colors and background colors, because that's what you need for dark mode. All right, so as another example, why don't we add a button in here? And this is going to be our toggler. You can, of course, use your own toggle component. Like maybe you want that little switcher that goes back and forth like that. We're just going to keep it simple here. Right, so we're just going to have a toggle button here. And then kind of similar thing is I want to be able to color this. So perhaps let's do a background color of our primary, whatever our primary is, in a color.
same place. Seen you in the right ways when you're getting out of this space. Seen you with the same maze when you gonna let shit change. When you gonna use that brain. I wanna sing a shit, mate. Pouring all in that spade. Should I work to my back, babe? Shovel dirt in the black lane. Going home in the black rain. What's the price of this won't change? Let's tell them that I'm okay. And I really am okay. But I need to leave this space. You're gonna say I'm great. Questions I need to be asking, I need you to right now. Lessons I need to be asking, I figured it right now. Oh, what have I done? Taking that bird. I don't wanna. I walk along this earth, living life in reverse. I walk as it all turns, I watch as the shit burns. Oh, what have I learned? It pays to be there first, so I'm waiting for my turn to reach what we deserve. Oh no, 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 I won't go back there no more. Oh no, 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 you'll see my clothes on the floor. Oh no, 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 you'll see I'm ready for war. Oh no, 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 you know what I am here for. Take a chance at the plan, I'll be man-made to the Maybach. I take a chance at the plan, I'll be man-made to the Maybach. Oh, 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 oh. Questions I have to be asking, I need to hear right now. I don't wanna be around. I don't want to be around. I don't want to be around.
Know me when I'm a slave, not when I'm king. Don't claim your royalty. Know me when I'm small, not when I'm big. Cause I stumble over it. Call me sugar. I missed you yesterday, even when you say this is not your way. No more playing games, I'm breaking all the chain. We can't stay the same. We can't stay the same. Family, don't call me sugar. Don't touch the fire. Don't give me drama. My best friend lover when no money. She don't give honey. She gonna leave daddy. Big daddy. daddy. Familiar, don't call me sugar. Don't touch the fire. Don't give me drama. My best friend lover. When no money, she don't give honey. She gonna leave daddy. Big daddy.
Also want to understand how to create multiple different themes. So instead of having only white and dark, you can have other, like it is on the documentation. That might be interesting as well, if it is easy to do.
You left me on the ground. You turned your back around. Now I'm feeling down.
Don't understand this really well. Like, is this equivalent to all of this? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Do nothing, moving too fast. Candy paint with the windows on black seats. Scramble late, what they gonna say? With the top down, screaming money, and the thing will be up till 6 in the morning. When the sunrise will be on then. All I got 5, know it's a lot. Tell me when to go, baby, when we go slide, baby, when we go slide. Hey, all night, baby, when we go slide. Oh yeah, yeah, baby, when we go slide, 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 slide. All I wanna do is gossip. How we end up in the backseat. Just trying to get to the bag. We on the same page, we're the same way. Only keep the fam around me. Just let me know what it's gonna be. I don't plan on getting nosy. While we do nothing, moving too fast. Candy paint with the windows on black seats. Scramble late, what they gonna say? With the top down, screaming money, and the thing will be up till 6 in the morning. When the sunrise will be on then. All I got 5, know it's a lot. Tell me when to go, baby, when we go slide, baby, when we go slide. Hey, all night, baby, when we go slide. Oh yeah, yeah, baby.
And the websites that I'm gonna use for deciding this thing here is this one that I saw on some video that I forgot which one it is, and then this website as well. But I think I really like this one. It's very easy to understand, and then you can get the colors from here, and you can see the contrast in the score. Yeah, I wanna use some color like this kind of green black here. I think it looks good with black as the contrast. The issue is that my screen also has the night light turned on, so I'm not really sure how it looks. I'm gonna have to change that as well, I think. See if it works on multiple different things. But I'm thinking about something like this. Black with this green. Probably looks good. And I'm not sure what this score is based on, but
keep the fam around me. Just let me know what it's gonna be. I don't plan on not getting no sleep. Why we do nothing, move too fast. Candy paint with the windows on black, see scrambled late. What they gonna say? With the top down, screaming money and the thing will be.
Yeah, it seems like the darker it is, the better the score gets.
Oh, I got five, no it's all lies. Tell me when to go, baby, when we go slide, baby, when we go slide. All night, baby, when we go slide. Oh, yeah.
But in my case, would be the opposite actually. This set should be the green one.
I was running fast, I couldn't keep up with my feet. Then I fell into your arms, and for a second I could breathe. Busy streets and busy people, but with you there's always time. So put your hand in my back pocket.
Yeah, something like this.
Your lips on mine. Will you still love me when the sun goes down? Will you still feel me when I'm not?
The thing is, I don't want the text to be green. I think I just want some highlighting. Like the way that I'm envisioning now is the categories is gonna be like this, and then when you hover over the buttons or the options, the links for the categories, then it highlights in the bottom with this green color.
Till the sun goes down.
I'm also thinking about watching videos about this, but I'm not sure if it's worth it or not. To see which types of fonts have the highest conversion. I'm pretty sure that people have done studies on this, but I couldn't find information. Like, what I was thinking about is someone probably did this, but they don't make it available because it's worth a lot of money, I think. Where you put a machine learning model in a website and then you test multiple different. You do A/B testing simultaneously with multiple types of configurations of typography. And then with that, you are able to see the numbers and the conversions and the conversion to impression rate, which one is higher. And probably could create a graph as well with that, where you have multiple different structures and then you associate those structures with the score, and then you can train machine learning models to increase the score based on the testings you do. But it's something very complex to do, but I think probably someone has done it. So imagine, but I couldn't find any video or any, because usually the videos that people talk about this, they're talking more from the standpoint of the designer, and they don't talk more about the data of the conversions. Because the people that are making videos are not the ones that have the websites, let's say. They are the ones that are designing the websites for someone else. So it's hard to find someone that has a combination of both, of designing the stuff and also understanding the data.
The town is falling your pieces when you keep your head down, down. Keep running to the wild. Whoa, oh, whoa, whoa, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Keep running to the wild. Keep running to the wild.
I don't understand where this array thing goes. I think it goes on the theme object here. But then, what are the numbers? What do they mean? Is for a responsive thing, or for different elements are gonna have different sizes depending on the font sizes thing?
Can you keep your head down, down? Keep running to the wire. Whoa, oh, whoa, whoa, oh, whoa, whoa, oh, whoa, whoa. Keep running to the wire.
And maybe after I create the structure and the style, the baseline style for everything, then I watch videos about what typography is better. But I assume most videos will say that it's hard to say and then it's based on personal preference, but I think is not. It's a machine learning model problem, I think. Because what is gonna follow is gonna be a fractal distribution, a multifractal pattern, where you have, it's gonna follow the birthday distribution to some degree. So it's gonna, the fonts that are used the most follow an exponential curve, I think, probably. But then it's not necessarily correlated with the conversion, but maybe it is. And then you can have outliers depending on each specific case, because each application has a different context, which makes the font size and font style be different for that application. So it has to fit well with the context of the application, and the context converges to infinity. Search for other music, because this one has lyrics and it's not good to study. I think I want to put the almost over as well, the time. Yeah, but as I was saying, each website's like a specific context, and it converges towards infinity because each app is going to be unique to the context that it exists in. So that's why you can't have a definite answer of which thing is going to be better to conversions, because it's going to depend on the context, and the context converges to infinity. But then you have multifractal patterns, which are the structure that is common among all the websites and about all things, which is analogous to the laws of physics. So each problem inside of the laws of physics is going to change every single time because it converges towards infinity. That's why space-time is not fundamental, I think. I agree with the Donald Hoffman theory or approach, is that space-time is doomed, as he says. And I also think that it's kind of obvious if you think about it, because there's nothing that should be, nothing that makes you believe that space-time should be the fundamental structure of all realities. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, but in space-time you need some level of consistency and then some level of change. So the consistency is the laws of physics, which has the highest degrees of density. And that's what we call facts, which is just a frequency. So the highest density, the more concrete something is in relationship to the observer, which has the frequency of awareness that determines the density of that thing. And then this creates the symbol of yin and yang, which is the multifractal pattern of identity, which creates the geometrical structure of space-time, I think, which is always relative to the observer. So there's always infinite potential, and then that potential becomes geometry through the parsing of the multifractal structure of identity, that is conversion in symmetry in relationship to the observer at a certain frequency, which is the law of gravity. So that's why everything is always going to have the fundamental differences and nuances, which is going to be each specific website has the nuances, which is the feminine, and then it's going to have the masculine, which is the structure of the website, and the things that are fundamental to all of them. And then you can probably train a machine learning algorithm to approach the limit of what's the local minima of what's the optimal approach given the density of observation through the relative perception of an awareness that is computing the algorithm. So never get there, but you get close to the conversion based on the density, which is the laws of physics. Which this case would follow a pretty distribution probably because of the way that social structures and the way that groups are shaped through time. The way that the market economy shapes groups through time, because the market economy is an exemplification of the pattern of reproduction, I think. And the normal probabilistic distribution is the exemplification of genetic mutation, and is always relative because of the sun rays across the relationship to the Earth and the electromagnetic field of the Earth and the gases on the atmosphere. So it creates the multifractal pattern of the genetic mutation, which is a fractal normal probabilistic distribution, which converges towards a parity distribution based on the way that groups are formed through the reproduction. And that creates the frequency of change in the structure, which is the force of natural selection, to adapt towards the environment, which makes us create technology. So technology itself, I think, is this feedback loop system that is this algorithm of convergency towards computing the maximum or the highest resolution of potential outcomes based on the relative frequency of awareness of the collective consciousness in relationship to space-time. Yeah, this is the farm thing that I was talking about. It looks really good, and I think it's a component from what I remember, where they show you the code on the components here. So I think I'm gonna use something like, I'm probably gonna have to research for how to do the pop-up, because I'm probably gonna put a button here on the navbar to sign in, and then a pop-up that opens up this thing here. Or maybe I'll do another page that looks better probably, because I don't like pop-ups too much. So I can create another page and then just put this form here on the page. I think that works as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna need to create 2 extra links there, or 3 extra links. One for the sign up, one for the MetaMask, and the other one for the affiliate links, I think. And this is the page that I was talking about, that they show multiple different projects that use the Team UI. And you can look at the code of some of them, I think. Yeah, this looks really good, but I'm not sure how much of this. I think this thing here is not from the Team UI. It's probably something that they put there, maybe. Oh, also, I have to think if I'm gonna do this thing here, which is annoying to do as well. I think you have to choose the transform thing on the CSS in order to do this animation here. But it's probably something that I should look into, because I do think that makes the site look better as well when you put these animations. I think it makes a difference. But it's just annoying to do. And it takes away from time of there I could be writing articles or researching stuff. So there's always the trade-off of how to invest the time on each thing. But I guess I can improve over time as well. So even if after I do the articles, because this is something that I'm probably gonna be constantly working on. So Apparently they do make this with divs and SVGs. I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna go run, and I think because I already understand everything that I wanted to understand here. It was easier than I thought. What I'm gonna do off streaming is probably look at these components here. I remember seeing navbar, yeah, navbar or navlink. I'm gonna change the navbar there that I have these components here to these ones. Then I'm going to open this project here and then copy the classes that I did on this one. Copy the CSS that I did on this one for the other project, so it looks the same. That's probably all that I'm gonna do today. And then tomorrow I think I'm probably gonna spend some time trying to decide what theme I'm gonna do here, playing around with these colors and then putting this on the theme file to select the style of the website. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow probably. And I should be able to finish this today because I don't think it shouldn't be that hard unless there is some unexpected thing and then I spend a bunch of time, but yeah. So I'm probably gonna come back tomorrow. Maybe I'll come back 2 days from now, which is Friday.